Diplomatic signals continue following the collapse of the much-anticipated Trump-Putin meeting, with the Russian envoy now in Washington for direct engagements. In Europe, additional sanctions were introduced, yet key financial decisions remain unresolved. Joining us today on TVP World is Myroslava Gongadze, a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council and a leading voice on Ukraine's democratic resilience and transatlantic policy. Hello and welcome to TVP World.
Pleasure to be here.
Now, we're talking about recent developments, and the Russian envoy, Kirill Dmitriev, suggested that a solution is quote-unquote closed. Now, what does that mean in practical terms, and who is defining the solution?
I mean, actually, Trump, he came to Washington to kind of maybe make it soften the situation that happened last week, specifically with so-called canceling the visit or the meeting with President Trump. And now we don't know how much he wants to just put the face and actually make it soften the situation, or it's really something that he's serious, or Trump or Putin is serious. At this point, we know that he said that there are a couple of conditions that Russia has, and some of the conditions are really met. One thing that he says that Ukraine has to be neutral. The territory is important. That some of the cities that actually Russia occupied right now, he is claiming that they have Russian citizens that Ukrainians were fighting against. And that's the problem. So territorial question is still open. And one more condition is that he is open to is the security guarantee for Ukraine, and that's something that Ukraine is asking for. The question is in which condition and when the security guarantee could be provided. And again, the question is he really serious about what he's talking about?
All right, and of course we see Russia still keeping their maximalist demands, as well as intensified missile and drone attacks on Ukraine, while these discussions are supposedly still ongoing. Can we really trust a party that claims peace while still escalating on a battlefield?
It's difficult to trust. You really have to only follow the action, and actions showed that Putin is not planning to stop this war. And the escalation in the last couple of days, the bombarding of energy supplies in Ukraine today, this night, many people were left without power. There are a lot of deaths. There are a lot of destructions in Ukraine. Kyiv city have never seen that much destruction and that much serious threats from the sky. So this is a serious situation. So from one hand, Putin is escalating, the Kremlin is escalating. On the other hand, in Washington, they are talking peace. So that's why I'm saying it's not clear how serious the Kremlin and Trump and Putin is today.
Do you think there's a chance that these are more of a show for U.S. domestic consumption on Russians' part to try to convince them or kind of sway them to the side of Russia, saying that perhaps giving them the belief that Russia is the one seeking for peace, and once any negotiation falls through, they can once again blame it on Ukraine?
It's almost impossible right now to swing Washington views on what is going on in Ukraine and what is Russia doing. And last week we saw very strong statements from the Congress, not just from the White House. The Foreign Relations Committee passed or cleared a couple of laws that supposed to put Russia as a terrorist state. Another law that was cleared to the vote is about secondary sanctions. All this shows that at least in American politics, there are a clear position on the needs to stop this war and stop Putin bombarding Ukraine, as well as American public. American public is putting pressure as well on their member of Congress and on the White House, because President Trump showed and said many times that he's committed to this peace, he's committed to stop this war, and now he's in a position that he has to deliver.
All right, Trump says that he's committed to peace. However, we also saw the Trump-Putin summit in Budapest that eventually got downgraded to a more representative level meeting. Do you think that we should read anything into that? Or is Moscow backing down, or do you think it's on the American side that perhaps have some holdups?
I believe that the latest discussion between Putin and Trump on the phone was a hopeful sign for Trump specifically, and he said that he's ready to meet Putin. But however, few days or whatever day after, the realization came that Putin is not planning to stop. And that's, I think, this next meeting on a different level, let's say, not on the top level, it's just an open door to possible negotiation. And that's important door. It should be happening. The discussion should be going on. And I mean, that's the one step forward, one step back, but eventually the needs of peace is there. And Ukraine showed that they are really open even for position that they can stop on the front line where they are right now. Now it's a question of what territory would goes to what. But in the end, in a kind of bigger picture, it doesn't really shows that Putin is ready to peace. Maybe a temporary solution, maybe temporary ceasefire. However, his economy is on a war footing. That's clear. All the analysts are seeing it. All the analysts are showing it. Maybe he's trying to delay the sanctions right now because we know that sanctions were posed, but Trump said that he hopes that the sanction would not stay long because maybe there would be some progress on the peace front. But Putin is waging a war. It's existential war. It's not just war against Ukraine. It's a war against the West.
And speaking of sanctions, Europe is recently tightening the screws on the sanctions on Russia as well. However, some of the more major financial decisions, such as the utilizing of Russian frozen assets, didn't really go through. How damaging is it right now for Europe to not have a consensus on these type of topics?
It's a problem for Europe. The decisive steps are needed right now. European Union stopped short and not agreeing on this frozen assets. However, they delayed this until December. They promised that December would be decisive. I just talked to a few members of European Parliament an hour ago, and they are saying that they are working on a mechanism on an administrative level to actually release or find the mechanism to deal with this frozen assets. So I think they will eventually come to the solution on this topic. And Ukraine needs that money in early 2026.
Great. Thank you so much for your input and insight. Really appreciate it. And thanks for being with us on TVP World.
Thank you. Thank you.
And thank you for tuning into this edition of World News Tonight. But for more news, update, and commentary, please stay tuned to TVP World.